Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I'm filming later in the day after the sun's gone, which is a shame, but I've got a horrible feeling it's going to be raining tomorrow. Just thought I'd go over the workload. So this is anticipated workload from now on. It won't all be now, some of it will be next year. In fact, a lot of it will be next year. But we will gather up the oaks in the garden, of which there are many, and we will have a go at an oak forest. So there's some larger ones, obviously. It's a good start. So that's a workload. That needs to grow. That needs to grow and get its strength back. It's a little weak, so it suffers, when we get drought and everything. Hasn't got any inner strength. It needs far more branches, so that just needs to be allowed to grow. So virtually no workload there. It was repotted either at the beginning of this year or last year. It doesn't need repotting. Now over the back here we've got my miniature flowering cherry, Kojo no Mei, which currently is a tree in a pot, which is the definition of bonsai, fundamentally. And that's coming out of its ordinary pot and is going to be turned into a bonsai. Now that's quite a workload, a lot of branch selection there, possibly some wiring, and getting it into a bonsai pot. So there's a workload there. My beech tree, that was repotted. That's grown on incredibly well this year. That just probably needs its growing tips taken out and the wire taken off. And we sorted out a new leader. That might need straightening up a bit, but that's coming on okay. So there's very little workload there, very little. This collected pine, this was obviously potted up. This just needs wiring. This just needs wiring to get its basic shape. Older needles are coming off now, but as far as branches are concerned, it needs to be allowed to grow. It needs more needle mass. So I may not even bother wiring. The branches are very flexible. It can be left. Next to that is my Austrian black pine. That needs to grow. It's got shoots coming out, so it needs to get some branches, and it's attempting to do that. We've got shoots coming out here and lower down. At the moment the top stays on, just to gain thickness basically. And then we've got my Japanese black pine. Hang on, let me move. That was wired by somebody else. I'm relatively happy with what was done with it, but obviously the wire will start to bite in as that pushes on next year, so we may need to de-wire that and have a think about which branches we're going to keep. The golden larch, which is golden at the moment, that's got its autumn colours. 5 trees in a pot that I don't like, let's put it that way. So they need to come out, and in my opinion they need spacing out a little bit, and we need to do branch selection, so that's that's an early spring job. My big pine next to it, that will probably need the wire taking off. We're not doing branch selection on that. We might do a little thinning out, and we will definitely do candle selection, and where there are 3 it can go down to 2, but again that needs to be allowed to put on a bit of growth. So that's all we'll do there. This little juniper down here has been pre-wired. Somebody else did that, and it's pushed on some new growth. So what that needs now is the branches turned into pads, rather than little bushes on the end of twigs. So there's a bit of work to do there. And the Japanese larch there, again, some branch selection, but that needs to be allowed to grow. That needs to put on needle mass, so do that. As does this larch here, that needs to put on needle mass. So it's not bad, and it's not got a bad trunk shape, but it needs to come out of this pot, so it needs to go in a bonsai pot, and it'll probably get potted at a different angle as well. I don't like trees that just go over sideways like that. I'd prefer it to be more like that. So we'll change its angle and get it in a bonsai pot. Ooh, it's alright getting down there, it's getting up again. Now my 3 Trident Maples, the 2 larger ones are going to remain as 2, so they'll fuse together and over the years. Not very good apexes on these, but we'll have a think about where the top of these 2 trees actually is. The little tree on the left will come off and get potted up separately. That will probably get cut back quite hard to try and get some new shoots farther down. That's that one. My 6 blackthorn, quickthorn, whatever you want to call them, they're going to get turned into a clump, so they're all going to get bundled up together. My white pine, that was discussed in the last video, so you can go and watch that if you want to know what's happening with that. Over here we've got some dead stuff. We've got my dead collected pine and my dead larch that came in online, dead on arrival. This maple, all this needs is maintaining shape. That's all that needs, and that applies to that one as well. That's got some nice autumn colour. So that's just a matter of maintaining the shape, maintaining the negative space, and not letting the extensions grow too long. The twin trunk Zelkova, just got to keep hacking at that, trying to stop the large leaves and the long extensions with really long internodes. You know, they're just awkward. I might not keep that long term. Then over here we've got this larch, which is a relatively recent acquisition. It's already got a nice bit of shape to the trunk. It's already got good extending branches, and we will be taking air layers off of that. So these long extensions here, 1, 2, at least 3, will become air layers. The Satsuki azalea, we won't be doing anything to that apart from getting it in a bonsai pot. So that's all that needs doing to that. That will be allowed to flower, then we start work on it. And my Deshojo maple, that needs bringing back. It's been allowed to grow into a very large tree, but it's now getting too large for the size of the trunk and everything. So the work on that will be to hold it back, but preceded by the fact that it needs repotting. So that's what I've got, and that's what the workload is. So it's quite a bit to come next year, and by then we'll have some decent staging where things can be displayed a bit better than just plonked around the garden on various higgledy-piggledy bits of stuff or just plonked on the decking. We'll get that sorted out as well. So, and then of course we've got our visit to go and do our collected our Yamadori. 1, probably 2 pines, 1, possibly 2 oaks, and a yew tree. So there's 3 minimum, 5 maximum trees to come in from. They're all in the same area, so they may all be done together, but they probably have different timings because the oaks, I don't know, oak comes into leaf very, very late as a deciduous tree, so it might be around the same time as the conifers. We shall see. So that's my estimated workload for some of this year and on into next year. And I might pull some of my repotting forward and try a late autumn repot instead of doing it all in the spring, although in my mindset I've still got repotting ought to be done on things like maples. It ought to be done just prior to bud pushing. That's the traditional time, and I've always worked like that, and it's always worked okay. I've never lost a tree at repot time yet. But you know, you do it at the wrong time, you can set them back. They might sulk, so you've got to go steady. Anyway, that's my lot, and that's the stuff that I've got planned for the future. Times will vary. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.